My friends, I come before you today with a burden and a message that has weighed heavily on my heart. In the quiet hours of prayer and seeking, I've sensed an urgency in the Spirit, a divine whisper becoming increasingly clear as we approach May 2025. What I'm about to share isn't meant to create fear, but to awaken us to the reality of our times and the importance of spiritual readiness. Throughout history, God has always warned His people before significant events unfold. He doesn't bring major shifts without first preparing hearts to understand and respond. Just as in ancient days, when watchmen stood on city walls to alert the people of approaching armies, there are spiritual watchmen today sounding an alarm about what lies ahead. I believe with deep conviction that May 2025 marks a pivotal moment in our journey, not just as a nation, but as a world standing at a crossroads of destiny. The patterns and signs are aligning in ways that can't be ignored by those with eyes to see and ears to hear. Consider the shakings we've already witnessed in recent years. Economic uncertainties, social upheaval, natural disasters increasing in frequency and intensity, plagues and pandemics, wars and rumors of wars. These aren't random occurrences, but birth pains, preliminary tremors before greater shifts that are coming. Many have become desensitized to these warnings, continuing in daily routines as if tomorrow will simply be an extension of today. But throughout history, there have been moments when the ordinary flow of events suddenly gives way to extraordinary turning points. Thresholds that, once crossed, lead to a profoundly different reality. I believe May 2025 represents such a threshold. The ancient Hebrew understanding of time differs greatly from our modern linear perspective. In the Hebrew mind, time moves in patterns and cycles. Events echo and reverberate across history, creating what scholars call prophetic parallels. What happened before happens again, often with greater significance and on a larger scale. When we look at historical patterns, we find that major shifts often follow periods of prosperity and complacency, times when societies have drifted from their foundations and forgotten the source of their blessings. Does this not describe our current condition? We've enjoyed unprecedented comfort and advancement, yet have systematically removed the acknowledgement of God from our public spaces, our education, our governance, and increasingly from our hearts. The warning for May 2025 isn't arbitrary. It aligns with multiple converging patterns, historical, astronomical, and prophetic. Without delving into complex calculations, I'll simply say that those who study the appointed times have identified this period as significant, a time when heaven's calendar and Earth's events intersect in meaningful ways. But what exactly is coming? While specifics remain veiled, the spiritual impression is clear. May 2025 will bring events that shake what can be shaken, that challenge our assumptions about security and stability, that reveal the true foundation, or lack thereof, upon which we've built our lives. These events may manifest in multiple realms: economic, geopolitical, natural, or spiritual. But their purpose transcends the physical disruption they cause. They serve as a divine megaphone, cutting through the noise of our distracted culture, compelling us to face eternal realities we've conveniently pushed aside. Now, I want to be clear. This message isn't about hoarding supplies or heading for the hills in panic. The preparation God is calling for is primarily spiritual in nature. Physical readiness has its place, but without spiritual alignment, it ultimately fails to address our deepest need. So what does true preparation look like? First, it requires honest assessment. Have we built our lives on shifting sand or on the solid rock of eternal truth? Have we been living for temporary comfort and pleasures or for lasting purpose? Have our priorities reflected heavenly wisdom or worldly values? May 2025 will test these foundations, not to destroy us, but to show us what must be strengthened or rebuilt. Second, preparation demands reconnection with our first love. Many have exchanged intimate relationship with the Creator for religious activity, moral performance, or worse, complete spiritual neglect. The coming events will reveal the difference between knowing about God and truly knowing Him, between religious routine and authentic relationship, between mental assent to truth and living embodiment of it. Third, true preparation involves realignment with divine purpose. Each of us was created for such a time as this, placed strategically in history to play a specific role in God's unfolding plan. Many have been distracted from this calling, lulled into spiritual slumber by entertainment, material pursuits, or simply the daily grind of life. The events of May 2025 will serve as a divine alarm clock, awakening dormant destiny and mobilizing a people ready to stand in the gap during crucial hours. Fourth, preparation requires community. The Western ideal of rugged individualism has infected our spiritual understanding, leading many to believe they can thrive in isolation. But the coming season will demonstrate our need for one another, for the strength, wisdom, and encouragement found in authentic spiritual family. Those who have neglected this dimension will find themselves particularly vulnerable when the shakings come. Throughout history, God has always preserved a remnant, a people who recognized the signs of their times and responded accordingly. Noah built an ark while skies were still clear. Joseph stored grain during years of plenty. The wise virgins kept extra oil for their lamps. In each case, preparation preceded preservation. I believe we're living in a similar moment of opportunity, a window of grace before May 2025 arrives. This isn't about predicting the exact day or hour of divine intervention or calamity. It's about recognizing seasons and responding with wisdom, rather than continuing in spiritual slumber. Some will dismiss this message, just as Noah's contemporaries mocked his boat building on dry land. But remember, their scoffing didn't stop the rain from falling. Their disbelief didn't keep the floods from rising. Their normalcy bias, their assumption that tomorrow would be just like today, didn't change the reality that overtook them. Others will acknowledge the warning but procrastinate in their response, assuming there's still plenty of time. But wisdom doesn't delay necessary preparation. Wisdom recognizes the value of readiness, knowing that some opportunities, once past, may not come again. The most prudent will hear and act, not out of fear, but out of reverence for the God who loves them enough to warn them. They'll use this time to deepen their spiritual roots, strengthen their connections with fellow believers, align their resources with kingdom purposes, and position themselves to be islands of peace and provision when others panic. What makes this time uniquely significant is its positioning within the broader prophetic narrative. We're living in what many spiritual leaders across generations have identified as the end of an age, the final chapters before the return of the Messiah. The events of May 2025 don't represent the culmination of this story, but rather an important milestone along the journey. A divine course correction, an opportunity for awakening before the final act unfolds. My friends, I don't share this message to sensationalize or create anxiety. I share it because true love warns of coming danger. True love prepares those it cares about for significant transitions. True love speaks truth, even when that truth challenges comfort. How you respond to this warning reveals much about your spiritual condition. Those rooted in authentic relationship with God will feel a resonance in their spirit, a divine confirmation that transcends intellectual argument. Those disconnected from this relationship may feel only skepticism or dismissal. But know this, May 2025 is coming, regardless of our belief or disbelief. The question isn't whether these events will unfold, but how we'll meet them when they do. Scattered and unprepared, or centered and equipped. The good news in all of this is that even warnings carry hope. The very fact that God alerts his people before major shifts demonstrates his desire to bring us through, not just take us out. His heart is for redemption, not destruction. For awakening, not annihilation. May 2025 isn't the end of the story. It's a critical turning point in a narrative that ultimately leads to restoration. Those who prepare now won't just survive what's coming, they'll help lead others through it, serving as beacons of hope in increasingly challenging times. The choice is yours. The warning has been given. The window for preparation stands open. Will you be among those who recognize the significance of this hour and respond with wisdom? Or will you be counted among those who, like generations before, failed to discern the signs of their times? I pray you'll choose wisely, for the sake of your own soul, and for the many who will need your light when darkness falls.